teach you, but it actually falls in numerata. Anytime one side is feeding, it's a numerata training method. So that means by the numbers, that means that one side feeds, that means it's the feeding hand to get your partner used to the lines of attack, to get your partner used to the pressure and the changes in sensitivity. Now this drill, because the hand is going to be touching and sticking to the knife, it's going to develop sensitivity. That's the key thing that we're looking to do. And what is sensitivity? Sensitivity is defined as the ability to read, apply, and redirect pressure. So now that he's touching, he's going to be able to feel my hand, and he has to develop what we call the stickiness, the ability to stick to my hand. And then there's going to be times when he has to engage and disengage with my hand. So both of these are going to be necessary. If you just try to stick to the hand, you could get cut. If you try to only disengage, you could get cut. It's like a yin and yang. So there's times when you have to go with it and stick, and there's other times when you have to engage and disengage. And that's what this drill is going to teach you. This is not how you're going to fight. This is a drill designed to develop your attributes. Oftentimes people look at these kinds of drills, they're a little flowy, they may look flashy at times, but the key thing is that you cannot remember, you cannot forget what the reason it is there for. If you look at a football player, he lifts weights, okay? He does bench press. The bench press is not how he fights. However, the bench press is going to relate directly to him on the football field when he has to push the guy away. So that's why the bench press is important. That's why the 40-yard dash is important. You have to be able to sprint from one spot to another. That's not how you per se play the game of football, but you have to develop that attribute so that when you need to sprint, you can do that. So this is purely an attribute development drill. I don't want you to get carried away. Oftentimes there's many drills like this. People get confused with regards to the self-preservation or the self-perfection part. So oftentimes in training you have two different types of training that you employ. You employ self-preservation and you employ self-perfection. Self-perfection are the drills that are and techniques and strategies that we use that are designed to help you make you a better athlete, to help make you better with your attributes, with your movement, with your sometimes with your flexibility, with your speed, with your timing. There's specific drills designed for that and to develop your reactions. Self-preservation are your tactics and strategies that you implement in the fight. So for example, defanging the snake is self-preservation, okay? Because you're always going to try to hit the hand. But when you do a drill like Sombrada, you're doing counter for counter and doing flow, so that would be a self-perfection drill. This is also going to be a self-perfection drill when we do this. So it's really important you understand and categorize that in your mind's eye so you know what the purpose of each drill is. So in my hand, I'm holding two blades of two different lengths. So far in this series, you've seen me hold a blade about this length. Now, most people, it's very illegal to walk around with a blade that's this long. Most blades that people carry, when they're open, are going to be about this size. So it's important that we train with the size and the differences of the size. So for these next sets of drills, I'm going to use this blade, which is this size, which would normally be like a pocket knife or a folder, and that's kind of what you represent. So you get to see how that moves. How this moves versus this, it's going to be two different things. The size difference is quite different. So this moves a little faster. This takes a little bit more room. This can probably thrust a lot harder and have more leverage. But with an edge weapon, you just need a little edge. You don't need to have a super long one. So practicing with both will bring out different attributes. The following U drill that I'm going to teach you can be done with both, but for the purpose of the video and for training, I'm going to use the smaller one just to give a different look and a different feel for my partner. Okay, I'm going to call out Officer Burton, and we're going to start teaching you how to do the U drill. Once again, eye safety, I cannot begin to tell you how important it is. It is of utmost importance. So the first thing, we're going to start building this drill up. So this first step of this drill is to learn to stick to the feeding hand, okay? So we're going to start close, and he's going to use his right hand to my right hand. And he's just going to stay attached as I kind of carve and I go up. See, I carve and then I go up, I carve and then I go up. He's just trying to stick to my hand. He's just trying to stick to my hand the whole time. Now if you notice, he's always, when he's sticking to my hand, he's giving this part of the forearm to stick to my hand. He's not sticking to my hand this way. If he sticks to my hand this way, he exposes the arteries in his arm and he gets cut. So see that again. He's always, while sticking to my hand, he's making sure that at no point is this forearm exposed, because all I need to do is cut this way or even drag with the tip this way and get the cut. So if you see, he's going to meet me this way, and he sticks, and he tries to keep that same edge. Now as I feed and come across, do you see he keeps it there, and then he turns it there. But now he's zoning, just like you learned earlier in Numerata, to zero pressure. He's not standing in front of me right here and doing this. You see, this would mean he's not moving. Once he feels it coming over here, he goes to zero pressure. He moves his body. So I have to come and circle around him. That's a very important first step that I want you guys to get down. So now, why is it called the U drill? The reason it's called the U drill, often person, I just want you to stand here and not move, okay? So I'm coming in with a thrust, okay? Maybe to his neck, maybe to his face, maybe into the clavicle, maybe into the chest. And I'm coming in as a thrust. The next natural motion from here is to carve and then come back up. So I'm feeding in a U pattern. A U pattern. When I come here, I go this way. When I come here, I go this way. Let's take a look from the other side. When I come over here, boom, and then I carve and go up, and then I carve and I come back. That's the natural path that the blade wants to take. So now he gets his right hand out, he meets it, boom. Now, see there, that's what I mean. Once I meet his hand here, the next natural path is for the blade to cut down here. This is the open place and space to go. So as that goes, he rides it, and he gets himself out of the way. He drops his elbow and he rides it. Look how it takes his hip out of the way. That's the other thing I want you to see. If he doesn't take his hip and leg out of the way, and he just pulls it down, I can get his leg. But look as he takes the adjustment and he drags his foot out of the way. So now the blade is out of the way, and now he gets his balance back. I come back in, he drags it and gets himself out of the way. He drags it and gets himself out of the way. Drags it and gets himself out of the way. So this is just the first step of learning to stick. Now, once he learns to stick with his right hand, we're going to now isolate the left hand. This is step 2. Now isolate the left hand. Boom. He meets that, and now look, he comes back this way. And look at the movement. We will never be square, because he's always going to be moving. Because he's got only one limb at the moment. Look, he's going to zero pressure. He's flanking me. He's already behind me, so that's forcing me to turn, giving him time to adjust and giving him space to move and maneuver around the blade. So if I come here and I try to get him, did look, did you see that? I really try to get him and he scoots his butt out of the way. That's a very important attribute that we have to really develop, to be able to quickly scoot yourself out of the way. Because when you get in these close quarter situations, these are the attributes and reflexes we want to develop. So remember, as a review, he starts first with his right hand, feels it, feels it, feels it, feels it. Now once he's comfortable with that, we go to his left hand. Feels it, feels it, feels it, feels it. And me as the feeder, I'm walking. I'm walking in a circle to give him this different energy. That's what I want to do. Sometimes I come here, sometimes I come here, sometimes I give you the pressure like that. That's the idea. I'm just giving him varying pressures, and he's trying to stick to me, but still maintain a range, and still make sure that he stays safe. So that's the first 2 steps. Isolate the right hand and stick to the blade as the person carves and feeds the U. Then isolate the left hand, stick to the blade as the person, as your feeder tries to carve and feed you the U. So, obviously that's not how you're going to fight because you have 2 hands. So now let's see, we're going to start to coordinate the left and right hand with the blade. And he's going to alternate sticking, connecting, attaching, and detaching. That's the next piece. So once you've learned an idea of sticking and moving, now he's going to start learning to attach and detach, but using 2 hands. Okay, so he starts with his right, boom. Now look over here, as he comes across, you see his left hand picks it up again. Let's see that again one more time. As he comes here, he meets with the right, and then his left hand picks it up. And always making sure, look at that, he's making sure that, so even if I did pull away and cut, he's not in as much trouble as if I pulled away and cut over here. That's very important, okay? So let's see that again from here, slow. Boom, he meets with the right. I'm trying to carve, and do you see that? He catches it again. He catches it right here, and he rides it up to here. Boom. That's the idea I want you to see. Then I can continue to put a little pressure and walk forward. I come back here, and then he shifts the hands. See, that's the idea. Boom. Seamlessly swimming the hand and just over the other hand. So he's using both hands to move and to get himself out of the way. Still learning to stick, still learning to feel and move. That's what we're looking to build up. And he's sticking to me. So I can be giving him two variants here of the feed. I'm giving him the U, and I'm giving him the U, and I'm giving him the U, or I can try to come into him. When I try to come into him, look, he just stays stuck and moves away. As I'm trying to say, oh man, I want to barrel into the guy. So I'm giving him a pressure of attaching and detaching and then barreling in. Both those energies are required to build this drill up. So first the right hand, then the left hand, then the two hands switching, okay? So now myself as the feeder, I haven't used my left hand yet. So now I'm going to start to increase the complexity of the drill by using my left hand to swipe and to parry his hand so that we can start to break up the monotony and start to change the rhythm and the flow a little bit more of what it might look like, okay? So now let's check this out. So slowly here he sticks and he feels, sticks and he feels, sticks and he feels, sticks. Now freeze here, we're at this moment. So there's that barrier. So instead of me just coming back down here, I take my left hand and I swipe, I pat his arm away and I come back again. Okay, that just starts to break up the barrier. Maybe on his way out here, I pat his hand away and then he comes again. Still you, yeah? Okay, boom, boom, and he catches it. So see, he's getting used to feeling where it's going to come from. All right, that's the idea. Boom, and then his hands start to work and talk on their own. This is the talking hands exercise where he's learning to feel where it's coming from. All right, so now I see I've given the complexity of adding my right hand in by kind of slapping his hand out of the way. And when I start to slap his hand out of the way, I can start to double up the feeds of connecting and disconnecting. Okay, so see what I mean by that. As I'm coming over here, I can come this way and feed it back. I can double up. See, this is what I mean by doubling up or tripling up. This is just for you to see at the camera. I start to stay on one side a little bit, and then I come back to the other side. I stick and I follow, and then I double it up and I change the elevation. That's what I said. Come up and I come down. And I stick, and then I follow. And this is how you're going to build it up. He has no idea which side it's going to come from, but this is building the drill. And sometimes, to keep him honest, I really try to go at it. He should be feeling like he's getting cut. So once I've started to feed him, and I see, okay, he's starting to get a good rhythm going, he's getting a good flow going. All right, now I want to interrupt that flow. I want to interrupt it by saying, ooh, I change the speed up. Maybe I lunge a little bit. Maybe I pause a little. Using these different elements of timing and space and angle and distance to mess it up. So see what I mean? He's here, he's having a good time, boom. As I was coming here, I just drop and take the cut. So he should be getting cut in training. If you're not getting cut in training, you're not learning. This is very important. There's no such thing as not getting cut. There's no such thing as not getting hit, okay? If you're hearing that from Master fooling you. Don't be fooled, okay? At the end of the day, the truth and the reality of combat is you're going to get cut, you're going to get hit. You just want to make sure that you get cut less and you get hit less. That's the reality. You have to be prepared for it. And in your training, you must replicate failure, because growth comes only from failure. A key principle we talk about is called invest in loss. You must invest in loss. You should be losing in your training. You should be creating scenarios in which you are losing, in which you are highly uncomfortable. So then only you will learn to become comfortable in those uncomfortable situations. A fight, tense situations in your life, job interviews, a sales interview, dealing with your kids, paying the bills. These are all uncomfortable situations. When we're all happy and everything's hunky-dory and going good, that's great. But we train for the situations when things are not going to go our way and they're out of our control. So we must be able to make ourselves happy or comfortable in those situations. So let's take a look at this again one more time. So as I'm going and I start to feed, So I'm doing the slap and then the feed. I can go slap and feed back the other direction. I can double up the feeds. I can double up the feed. I can come over here and sometimes, you see that? I reach to get him a cut. So I want to give him a 70% success rate and 30% failure. So of my feeds, he should be succeeding 70% of the time and to build his proper mechanics, and he should be failing 30% of the time. So once I see, okay, he's got a good rhythm, boom, I'll change the rhythm and try to cut him, all right? Now another variation that I can throw in here is the swipe. So see what I mean by that? As I'm going here, I've shown you, here's the slap. Now I'll say I bring my hand in this way for the swipe to change it up again. So let's take a look from this side. So as I'm going this way, here I slap, now I swipe. See, I bring my hand in the way, so if he's not ready over there, don't move for a second. See, this can come this way, but as you can see, he's bladed and he's ready to go. And then as I take this out, he picks it up. That's what we want to see. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, he had his balls covered that time. Very good. Okay, you don't want to get yourself too square. So he had himself covered, knees in, his groin was protected, right? I just tried to trick him. And he was ready to go, okay? He's been kicked many times over there before, so he's definitely learned his lesson. But that's what I'm trying to say. This is the idea. We've got to be able to build it up step by step. This is the U drill. You develop your attributes this way. Start out slow. You can speed it up. And so you see at that point, there's no thinking. He can't be thinking what I'm doing. The feed becomes random. But it's following the arc of a U. Sometimes it doubles up. Sometimes I slap his hand out of the way. Other times I swipe his hand out of the way. So this will give you a good idea of how to develop the U drill, develop your attributes of sensitivity, so they can be worked in a flow. Okay, put yourself in the high performance zone, in a state of mind where you elevate your attention and your awareness and learn to slow time down. Give it a try.